welcome to episode 27 of Backpacks and Stories, and I'm here today with Aiky.
Hi everyone. Pleasure to be here. First time on a podcast. Hope I don't make a fool of myself.
I don't think that's possible.
You never know.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good. A little bit tired, but I haven't had a lot of sleep lately. Just like you, but
What have you been up to?
school stuff, which I don't care. Sports, like the usual, but just with less amount of sleep.
Nice. And well, where do you want to start? Why are you here in Canada?
For studies. That's the simplest and most, like the true answer. Simplest answer for studies.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm still here. Despite failing my first degree, I'm still here.
And what did you study and what you're studying now?
So initially I went for a degree in physics.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go my way because of, it was like I had mental health issues before, like mental and physical health issues prior to the pandemic. Then you enter the pandemic, things gotten worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything gotten worse. So like people with mental health issues, things has gone, sideways.
Mm-hmm.
And there was that part, and then also I don't want to say towards the end of the degree, but towards the moment where I decided to call it a day, the economy plummeted, because of the pandemic, and I realized, I kind of knew it already when I started, but I realized physics is something really, really difficult when it comes to job hunting.
Yeah.
And sometimes even people with a PhD in physics, postdoc, think about people who have studied for 10 years and plus, those folks tend to not necessarily get the amount of money that they might be worth.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of weighed also into my decision. So that I call it a day, and now I'm studying computer science and mathematics.
Why did you choose to study physics in the first place?
At Concordia University.
No, why?
Like, why did I? Oh,
Yeah.
Why did I? Do you want the fun part? Okay, so there's the fun and probably the truth,
Mm-hmm.
and then there is the one that I want to convince myself.
Okay.
So I wanted to convince myself that I like physics, that maybe I'm smart enough for physics, and that was a little bit true.
Yeah.
But what I really wanted was two things. The wow factor that people tend to have when you say, hey, I'm studying physics, or I have a degree in physics. Some people, they are impressed. Some of them, not all of them, and that, the immature, silly me wanted that. And also, do you know the series Big Bang Theory?
I've seen a fair amount. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to be like them.
Okay.
And it sounds so silly, but growing up, I knew this series when I was a teenager, and I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't have a lot of references or figures that I could really hold on to. But I was watching those series a lot, especially The Big Bang Theory. And in The Big Bang Theory, yes, you picture the guy that is... They make a joke about him being autistic or not autistic, but like he's socially awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But people forgive him for everything that he does. I'm talking about Sheldon Cooper, one of the main characters there. And also he's really smart, so he's able to pick up any topic that he wants. And also something that is not true. They are pictured as people who have money, not like a lot of money, but they're never under financial stress.
I remember the episode where he was, where he just hadn't cashed in all his paychecks. He just has a stack of paychecks.
Yeah.
In his drawer.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that you kind of want to be like when you grow up and like you don't really know who to look up to, and okay, well, this is your reference.
Let's backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
And where are you from?
I'm from Madagascar.
It's very cool. I think you are the first Madagascar.
That's what a lot of people tend to say when they meet me for the first time.
And which are you from the capital city?
Yeah. I'm from Antananarivo. It's right in the center.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I was born there. I grew up there, but at the age of 12, I moved to Togo. It's in West Africa, the other side of the continent.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice as well. That was a nice country. My parents are still there as well, so there's that.
What language do they speak in Togo?
Okay, so the main they speak French.
Yeah.
But they also have their own languages. They have I kid you not, for a very small country with a population of I think 6 or 7 million people, they do have a lot of dialects and small languages. It's impressive.
Did you pick up any?
No, I can't. I didn't learn any of the words, the languages that they have.
Okay. Were there other immigrants in your situation? Like, were you around other foreigners, or was it mostly just locals?
You mean here?
No, I'm not talking about here. No, I'm talking about in Togo.
Yeah. There were a lot of foreigners, a lot of people from France, people from me from Europe, France, other other parts of Africa as well.
What is the draw? Why do people move to Togo?
It really depends on, for example, mostly jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say if you're someone from Africa, from other parts of Africa, Togo is a little bit more stable and it's a growing economy, so there might be some more jobs and opportunities there. Actually, most people, not necessarily specific to Togo, but most people move because of jobs and financial situations. There is also immigrants and people fleeing wars and whatnot. As far as French, when it comes to French or people from the Western countries, they move to Togo because the cost of living is really cheap compared to where they're from. So when they go there, it gives them a little bit more freedom.
Yeah.
Even though they may not earn as much, but the cost of living is so much cheaper than that. They can't afford much more than what they would be able to in their own country.
Interesting.
That's a choice. You see also that here in people in Quebec or Canada, when they retire and they decide to retire in the south, somewhere in the South America part.
In Florida, yeah.
Florida. The reason also is because of the weather, but many people want to go to a cheaper place.
My landlord spends half the year in Florida, and she's not an old lady, but she spends half the year in Miami. Yeah.
It's understandable.
Yes and no, but I don't know.
I mean, Florida, I don't know, it's specific to Florida, but fleeing the weather, you complain lately you complain about how mid-April and we still have these little bits of snow here and there.
It's not the snow, it's the temperature. Yeah. And this has been a recurring theme throughout the podcast, that I do check-ins with people about how they feel and the weather and everything. And how are you feeling?
I've gone accustomed to it. I have to say, I'm a bit on the extreme side when it comes to the weather. So, my first year here, I knew that I would stay here for a long time.
Yeah.
So I did this crazy thing where I would go out, sometimes just go out just outside, not necessarily go somewhere, just outside, and stay there as long as possible with the least amount of clothes that I could wear. I wouldn't be naked, but a t-shirt and shorts. Or sometimes maybe not the t-shirt and shorts when it's -20, but I would add
-20.
Yeah, the hoodie and I really just tried to see how much I could bear the cold, and then eventually I started to, specifically last year, go out a little bit more during the winter, run during the winters, and when you do that, it's you're not. There's one mistake that I've seen a lot not a mistake, but like a lot of people, when the cold comes, they tend to just stay indoors, stay inside, or oh, it's cold outside, let's not do anything, just stay home. That affects your mental health, affects a lot of things, and it gets so negative that you get this negative view of the winter. But instead, you should do stuff that eventually you'll learn how to. I don't want to say love winters, but like enjoy it a little bit more.
100%, 100%. I think I was a bit slow on that, and I think it probably would take some getting used to. It's hard because in some ways, to do that, you're fighting your natural instincts, you know. Because I think in survival, in the case of in nature, being in those temperatures meant that you're fighting to survive, you know. And now it's not like that because we have everything so comfortable. You could spend the whole time inside. You could not leave your house if you really didn't want to. It's possible.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. There is a lot to do here in the winter. If you want to do it, you can do skating, you can do skiing, snowboarding. You can go for walks and stuff. It's not the nicest thing in -20, but yeah.
No, but even like I know some people who they refuse. Let's say, hey, let's hang out at a bar, restaurant, or just go home and play the video game, and they say, oh no, I don't want to leave the house because it's too cold. Like I've met some people like that.
Yeah, you can just wrap up warmer.
Yeah.
So this has been your 6th winter?
So I arrived in 2019. So 2019, first winter, 2020, 21, 21, 22, 23, 24. Maybe my 6th, I guess, if my count's correct.
Do you miss the weather from Madagascar or Togo?
I do miss the feeling of some like hot weather and sunny weather in December. I don't know what it feels like to have Christmas on a warm day anymore.
Yeah, you can do it though.
Yeah, but like it's not specific to Madagascar or Togo, but sometimes I have to say, like, even though I learned to embrace or enjoy the winter a little bit more, the reality is, I'm a boy who was born and grew up in warm weather, and those are my roots. Tend to miss those warm weathers.
Yeah, it's definitely understandable. It's understandable. You have the real contrast here. I mean, how cold does it get over there? Like, worse 10, 15 degrees?
It depends. Madagascar, maybe 10. Togo, I don't even think I've like seen something like 8, as low as 18 there. Maybe 20.
Really?
It's a really warm country.
Yeah, I guess it's very close to the equator, no?
Yeah, it's very warm.
Nice.
What about you? How's the winter treating you so far?
How has the winter treated me? I feel like I can say it in past now, I hope. I know that we've still got a few days of -1 or -2, but maybe we can call it spring now.
Knock on wood, we can call it spring now, yeah. Knock on wood, we can call it spring now. But I wouldn't bet my money on that statement.
Maybe we'll get another snowstorm.
It's not impossible, to be honest with you.
Let's not give the weather any ideas.
Yeah, let's not do that. You haven't, dear weather, you have not heard anything from us.
No, but I mean, it's been okay. I thought it was going to be a lot worse. I really did. Because everyone prepared me for the worst. You know, with the -35, -40 thing. Which never happened here this year.
Oh, you haven't?
No,
we haven't had it.
So, I still want to experience that. I still want to know what it feels like.
So here's the funny thing. My family, friends that are not in Canada, and they say, oh, -10, it's so cold. -20, they cannot even imagine that. And I tell them, because I've experienced minus 40. And I tell them, you know what? I kid you not. The first week, the first week that I arrived, I went from a place where it was plus 38. And when I arrived here, like a week later, it was minus 40. So I experienced like
almost 80
degrees. And over the years, I've experienced a few minus 40 here and there, but you can really tell. Let's say on Monday it's minus 40, and on Thursday it goes to minus 20. In minus 20, going from minus 40, it's like, wait, it's actually warm. It's such a weird statement, but that's really what I can like sense that, you know, oh, minus 40 was really cold. You go to minus 20, minus 10.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's 20, 30 degrees difference there.
Yeah.
And you can actually feel that it's warmer.
I mean, obviously I didn't experience that, but I had the contrast of going from days of like minus 15, minus 20, and then it
Back to
warms
zero.
up to, yeah, we had I think for January and February we didn't get close to zero. We stayed below zero for the whole of January and February. That was kind of crazy to live in that situation. But going from minus 20, minus 15 maybe to minus 5, like, this is okay. I could probably go in a jumper right now.
You can see the difference in the layering of your clothes, the shoes as well. Like, you know, it's you literally can feel the difference.
Yeah, man. Well, I think that's enough about the weather. We can talk about something a little more interesting. So, have you met any other Madagascans here?
So we call them Malagasy.
Malagasys.
You mean here?
In Montreal, yeah.
Yeah, I've met some. To be honest with you, I'm not necessarily looking to hang out with them. I'm not like flying away from them. I'm not also like trying to catch them. It's just if I meet them here and there, like, so it's cool. Because, you know, my point of view is that I was born in Madagascar, grew up part of my life in Madagascar, and then when I moved to Togo, we still had a community of Malagasy people there, so I would also spend some time with them. So when I moved here, I was like, the world is such a big place, especially here in Montreal. You have this variety of culture. You have people from Asia, people from South America, people from Africa, like all parts of Africa, Middle East. I've met some Australian people, Europe, like from all around the world, and I'm like, I spend a lot of my time with Malagasy people. Maybe now is the time to, you know, expand my horizon. You know, if I had the mindset of, oh, I'm just gonna stay with Malagasy people or do what Malagasy people do and only attend activities where there are Malagasy people, which I know some of them do, then I would not have been able to meet you, and I would not have been able to go to dance classes and all those sort of things.
Yeah, I think it's the right attitude, and I've said it repeatedly that I think it's best to stay away from your own people, just because there is, like you say, you pass your whole life with these people and you want to make the most of your time. If you want to spend time with your people, you can go back to your country, you know. And not to say that once in a while it's not nice to catch up with someone, maybe you can share some jokes, but to live with them all the time in your life is... I couldn't do it with Brits. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I feel you. That's how I feel as well. Because also you have this, you want to view what other people's minds are at. You want to taste other kind of foods.
Do you miss your food?
So I miss what my mothers make. Not necessarily like Malagasy food, although some of them are really tasty, but my mom's food is what I miss the most.
When was the last time you saw them?
Well, the last time I saw my family was in the 12th of December, 2019. Not 19 something, 2019. Sorry. I'm not that old.
Yeah, that was the day that you left.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you said you're going to see them this year, right?
That's a maybe.
Okay.
It's not certain yet. That's a maybe.
They coming here?
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe. Do you miss your family?
Yeah, I miss them, but we're fortunate enough to have like phones, and you call them on videos. It's like they never left or you never left.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah, but that's
there's
intense, man. Because for me, I left in 2019. I was 19 as well, and I spent a few years in Australia during the pandemic, and I was ready to go and see them at that point after those 3 years, and you spent like almost double the time, and just to think about so much has happened in your life in that time, and there is a level of connection that you can't have over the phone.
Yeah, I totally understand that, but sometimes you have no choice.
It's true, but it doesn't bother you.
No, not necessarily. But what? It's really because I don't have a choice, and I'm gonna share a little bit of a story. That kind of it's like, I don't know how I feel. I don't know if pissed off was the right word, but I met someone. The girl was from France, and she was. You know how most French people arrive here on a PVT, permis vacances travail, where they have a work permit and a holiday permit. Yeah, just like you, I guess. And it's like 2 years, right?
For me, yeah.
And usually they go through that process, but after the 2 years, most of them realize, hey, I want to stay here, so they apply for permanent residency and so on and so forth. And I met that girl, and she was, I want to say, 1 year into her PVD, and she said, "Oh, I don't wanna stay." She loves the city. She loves the vibe. She made some friends, but she said, "I miss my family and friends so much. I'm not gonna stay. I'm leaving." And she actually left, and she didn't come back. And part of me wanted to say, like, that's such a kind of rich problem, like a rich people issue. Like, I miss my family, but I didn't have the opportunity. I don't have the opportunity to say, okay, well, let's call it a day and I'm going home.
Yeah.
I can't say that.
There was never an option.
There was never an option. Like, failure was never an option. Despite the fact that I failed my first degree. But I'm still grinding the second one.
Yeah.
And only God knows where it's going to lead me. But, yes, that's a good example. I failed my first degree, but because failure is never an option, here I am, back again, trying it out, and already on the verge of failing the first semester into the second degree. But I'm trying to figure things out, I guess.
No, but you already know what you're doing mostly in your degree. Like, it's quite easy for you, no?
Yeah, but it's not so much about it being easy. It's just that there comes a point. Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but I think I'm a little bit burned out by school. Having failed that first degree, having put a lot of effort into it, and then out of nowhere you decide to call it quit. And then being back again because failure was never an option. It's like, gosh, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
I was having dinner with a friend yesterday. We're the same age. We started this first year university. We're in the same class. And that dude is now about to defend his thesis for a master's degree. I don't even have an undergraduate degree. And you're like, fuck it, what am I doing here? I'm so late in life. I would love to be somewhere else, but here I am, kind of stuck. Because guess what? failure is and was never an option.
Yeah.
So either you succeed or you're stuck. And it's up to you to figure out how to succeed, but right now it's just mentally so drowning that it's hard for me to.
But you really feel like you're late.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Why?
So it's like I don't I've grown up in this environment where graduate from college from high school, then you go to university for 3 4 years. After 3 4 years you go to a master's degree 2 years, and after 2 years you go to a PhD 3 years. So by the time you're 27, you should have your PhD, you should have things kind of on their way. Or the other way around would be someone like you who, well, maybe you didn't necessarily go to study, but you've explored the world. You've had all these experiences. I've had none of those things. I didn't have the opportunity to travel. I didn't have the opportunity to meet a lot of people. Relationship wise, let's not talk about that. And then because that one's a mess. And then on the other hand, also academically speaking, career in terms of career, I'm like moving backwards sometimes it feels like. So it's like, okay. And then you see all your friends or past roommates, past colleagues, past classmates, they're like advancing through life as if the wind is blowing their way.
Yeah. No, but I get what you're saying, and I think I've mostly got over thoughts like that, especially in terms of the idea of studying and stuff, because I do want to study. I'm confident that at some point I will. And I think, yeah, it's true. Like, some of my friends finished their degrees 4 years ago now, nearly. And sometimes I think about that, it plays on my mind. Is that going to take away a potential opportunity in the future? Like, I can't go and work as an English teacher in an Asian country, for example. Like, if I wanted to try going to China and try teaching in China, I can't do that because I don't have a degree in anything. But then I have to weigh out the other opportunities that I have, and I understand that I'm very fortunate. I have a lot of other opportunities, places that I can go, things that I can do. And sometimes it does feel like you're taking a step backward. You know, in Australia, I got to work in the solar farms, which is like the backpacker's dream, basically, over there.
Okay.
And I was earning $50 an hour. $50 an hour to do the easiest job. And then I come to a place in Canada, and when I was in Toronto, I was earning $17 an hour. And the dollar, the conversion's a bit different, but it's say 20 Australian dollars an hour, for example. So I go from 50 to taking a 60% pay cut. So I've been there, I've been earning, and then I drop down. I also feel the same in relationships, like having been in one relationship for 5 months. It's like, I know people who have been together since they were 15, 16. I know people who have been in 2 or 3 long-term relationships by my age. You know, like, everything's relative, and if we compare ourselves to others, then that's when we let ourselves down.
Yeah. It's that's what I'm trying. You know, in my mind, like, don't compare yourself. But then sometimes you're like, oh shit, he's there, and your mind just. Sometimes you wish you could just push a stop button in your mind, stop it, or just maybe turn it off for once, or like, you know the saying, like, you have 365 days a year to be a moron. Like, maybe for once, just be smart.
But then I look at someone like you, and you have some kind of crazy energy, you know? People look at me and think that I'm busy, and then I look at you and think, this guy just is moving. I don't understand how you can physically maintain the amount of things that you have in your life.
Neither do I. Sometimes I wonder what the hell. No, but I really, the reason why I didn't go to the social yesterday was because I was extremely tired.
Mhm.
Like I had the dinner with my friend, and then I wanted to go to the social. 8:30, it was like in bed, like really really falling asleep. But I wouldn't be surprised like if like a therapist would analyze my life and would say the reason why you're doing all those activities is that that's your way of coping with something that you're trying, like my way of coping with something. I don't know what thing, but I wouldn't be surprised that's an answer to.
It could be, but it could be a coping mechanism, but I think sometimes there can be a fine line between a coping mechanism and dealing with the problem.
Yeah.
You know? Because at the end of the day, you are achieving a lot of things in what you're doing.
I truly hope so. I really do.
That takes us on to how we met.
Yay! The fun part.
Where did we meet?
We met in. Actually, so the first time we really interacted was at the social, but we met through dancing, not in dances, salsa, bachata. We go to the same school, same dancing school, and we hang out there. That's how we met.
And you've become quite a professional in these past few months.
A professional, did you say?
Yeah.
No, not a professional, but you know, I want to use. I've heard people say obsessed. Literally, someone said, "Oh, you're obsessed about dancing," because they see me a lot of time there. They see me practicing, and they saw also the progress where I went from here to here, which is understandable because of the amount of work that I put in. But I don't really like the word obsessed. I'd rather use the word passionate. Because that's more, I guess, more beautiful, more romantic, and sounds less like I'm an insane person, which maybe I am. But you know, it's just yeah. I've heard the guys, the guys or people really tend to be, I don't want to say dramatic about when the level that I'm at. People are surprised for sure, but like many things in life, you just see the result.
Yeah.
You don't see the amount of work that I put in. You don't see, you know, how often I try to contact a follower. Like a follower, for those who don't know, is the person. I'm a leader, so I'm dancing with the follower. So the amount of time I try to reach out for a follower and the follower says, "Hey, no, I can't. I'm busy," or this and that, and it's frustrating because you want to improve, you want to practice, you want to train. So you put in the work, you do your salsa shine, for example, alone in your bedroom, and it knows your neighbor, because you do it until 3 a.m. in the morning because you can't sleep because you're coping with something in your life, right? So people are definitely surprised by the level that I'm at right now, but it's just a matter of work, a matter of practice. But I suppose it takes a bit of insanity to do what I do.
No, I think that you like you say, you're passionate. And you're doing something that you care about and that you want to improve in.
Also, I started to take a little bit of a, I don't want to say scientific approach to dancing, but I started to view it as more like a language.
Yeah.
Where it's not about, when you learn a language, you don't learn, it's not ideal if you learn already pre-programmed or pre-arranged sentences. I remember, for example, when I learned English, there were books, and they had this, okay, you're at the restaurant, so these are sentences that you can use at the restaurant, and people would learn them by heart. And what happens when you're not at the restaurant? And then you're going to have to learn something else.
Yeah.
And that's not efficient. But what you want to do is learn how to form those sentences, the grammar, vocabulary, like the structure of it. And that's my view. I don't know exactly at what moment it clicked. But at some point, it kind of clicked because I was trying to do this and that, and I was realizing, wait, those are the same moves, the same pattern, but I'm doing something a little bit different here, a little bit different here. But I'm using the same structure. Mm-hmm. It's like a language, really.
Mm. Yeah, no, it is. It is communication. It's communication and adaptability. It is just like learning a language, really, because you want to be able to communicate with people. You want to be able to adapt to the situations that you're in.
Yeah.
And it's a form of expression, you know?
It is, it truly is.
I think, like I was telling you the other day, like coming from the UK, we have this idea about dance it being
romantic,
romantic and passion and love.
Yeah, there's this like, okay, if I dance with you, that means I'm in love with you, and we're gonna go in bed later on tonight, and 3 years later we're gonna have kids together. Like, that's not how it works. Hopefully, because I dance with some men and I'm a straight dude. Can you imagine if you fall in love with every person that you dance with?
Yeah.
Like I'd be in a marriage with 10 different people already, which is not ideal. Or maybe more.
You must have danced with a couple of, maybe not a couple of hundred, but at least 100 people by now.
I mean, I wouldn't say 100. I wouldn't say
easily.
Because you dance with the same people also, so.
No, but you're thinking about the classes.
Oh yeah.
You in the classes themselves, you probably dance with 100 people. In the socials, maybe another 100.
Yeah,
How many different socials have you been to? Like.
Well, some of them, but hundreds. I don't know. I find it like kind of a big number, because honestly, okay. So here's the thing, I tend to remember the people I have a connection with, and when I say connection, it doesn't necessarily mean like a great dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, was it on Friday you saw me dancing with like an absolute beginner.
Yeah.
But I kid you not, the reason why I remember her was because she was smiling and she was really, really happy about the fact that I was teaching her, and she could do the moves, and she was happy about making the moves properly, and that to me was like worth much more than doing crazy combinations for 3 minutes with someone who is a crazy dancer.
Just for the sake of it.
Just for the sake of it, yeah.
100%. The connection is really is important.
Yeah.
And it changes things.
Yeah, and like for another example was in the class, so not on social, not at the social, but in the class was the freestyle moment. I was dancing with someone and I was trying to move. I was doing a certain move and she didn't get it done properly yet. She didn't really understand what was going on, but I saw her smile because she kind of understood the dynamics of the dynamic that was going on.
Mm-hmm. And
I stopped because I saw that she was like a little bit lost, but she was smiling still, and she said, no, do it again, please. Yeah. With a smile, like the child that is excited about something. Yeah. And I was redoing, and we redid the sequence, and we did it, we nailed it, because now she understood, because she saw it once, we've done it a second time, not quite sure what was going on, then the third time was a charm. And immediately she was smiling, she was really thankful, and that is like, okay, like that's also the reason why you dance sometimes, is to bring that smile onto someone. Doesn't matter the level. And yourself, but if they smile, you smile in response, because that's a natural feeling, like a very, very, very great feeling.
Yeah. No, it's really nice. It's really, when you get those connections with people. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, even if you're just doing your basic steps. You can literally just do your basic steps for a whole song, and if you have a good connection with someone, then it feels great. It feels so good.
The thing I always refer to is, think about this beginner that goes to a social. It's very intimidating because you see all those great dancers, and you're like, are we allowed to swear on this?
You can swear.
Holy fucking shit! We're like, they're all great dancers and I'm just a beginner. Yeah. And no one, and usually like, no matter if you're a dude or a girl, you're gonna be shy about it, and people are not necessarily gonna go towards you. And when I go to these people and and they say, oh no, I'm shy, and I say, it doesn't matter. Yeah, or not that they're shy, but I'm a beginner. I just started. I'm like, but you're here, and that's all that matters. And then we start dancing, and you make, you start, you can make a move, a two, and then you see that they're catching up, and then you add one more, like a turn, something they haven't done, but you make them turn, and they smile. And yes, I dance for my own sake, but like if I can dance to make people smile, like I would have done a great job.
100%, 100%. And that's the thing, like, you know, just starting off slow, getting the feel for the other person, how confident they are in their abilities, and then working out what you can do. And it's fun, it's a little game, but it's a lot of fun.
And then if you're doing great, you might end up with an Instagram, like, you might exchange contacts. You know, things can happen.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, it's nice.
Yeah. How do you feel about dancing so far?
How do I feel about dancing? Well, like I was just saying about the image that I had about it for a long time. That changed when I went to South America, and I started moving up the continent, because even down in Chile and Argentina, it is still a little bit of that concept. Like if you're dancing with someone, it's about, you know, feelings. You want something with the person, and then when you start to go a bit further north, people dance more for
the sake of dancing.
Yeah, just having fun. You know, you dance with your friends. Like for example, in England, if you have a girlfriend, you do not want to see your girlfriend dancing with another guy. And here, and especially in Colombia and Venezuela and stuff, is normal. Like you dance with anyone. You know, the guys will dance with any girls will dance with any guys, even if they're in relationships. So I think that's been. I really like that. It feels like I'm kind of growing up in a way, you know, understanding that there are the difference, talking about dancing as a communication, you know.
Has so like my question would be, initially what made you wanna dance?
Well, being in Latin America, I think it was something that I really should have taken a little bit more advantage of.
Yeah.
Because I started listening to a lot of music, a lot of salsa, and you know, it's always kind of just like the rhythm of life down there. Like you always kind of just hear that music playing, and I would love to move my body to this, but I don't know what I'm doing. And then I took a few lessons in Colombia, but nothing came of it. And then I came here, and then I met my friend, and he used to dance a lot in Argentina, and then we started to go into some socials together, and I started, okay, this is interesting, I want to get better, and now I'm like full speed ahead. Now I really want to learn and improve.
The reason why I'm asking that is when I see you today, like I can tell that it wasn't clear to me at first why you were dancing, but now it's clear to me that you're dancing not for the sake of meeting someone.
I'm not gonna lie, it is a part.
It is a part of it, but it's not like the main ID. Because you go to social, you're not afraid of the level. You don't make excuses for not going to socials, and I can tell you've improved quite a lot, and your timidity kind of went away, and that to me is kind of is really the sign that, okay, when I saw you, for example, yesterday, like you were asking people after people, hey, can you dance with me? And that was like really, first of all, congratulations. It was really, really nice to see. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
And it was like the moment I understood, okay, he's really here to improve. He's having fun. He wants to improve. He wants to learn. He wants to gain experience, and he's certainly not here for the sake of impressing or for the sake of meeting someone by impressing them with your dance skills.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I was like, that's as soon as you have that mindset,
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to make a fool of yourself, and by accepting the idea of making a fool of yourself, you're gonna learn faster.
Yeah, 100%. I think the night that we met, I think that was what changed it for you. I'm pretty sure. Like after that social, when you start, obviously you start to level 2, but you went through that process very quickly, and you started giving it your all from that point.
Yeah. That night, you mean the social where the first social that we went to?
Yeah.
That was kind of this. I don't want to say wake up call, but it was really like a. There's something missing, and I know that if I just go to the classes, if I just attend the classes, I'm not gonna be able to reach the level that I want.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to talk with, also socialize with great dancers, not being afraid to ask people, and they have the same thing. Stop going to classes after classes.
Mm-hmm.
Go to a class and get out of there and practice. Go to a class, get out there and practice.
Yeah.
And something I'm doing also right now is I'm asking for feedbacks from the followers. Mm-hmm. I'm asking them, even the beginners and the non-beginners, I'm asking, hey, what did you feel? How did you feel? What did you think of my the way that I led you into this move? What did you understand? Maybe because we were not able to do the sequence that I had in mind, and I'm asking, hey, what did you understand? I want to know. And there's no right or wrong answer. You understood. I wanted to tell you something, and you understood something else. What did you understand? Because that means that I was not communicating in a proper way.
Yeah.
And by asking feedbacks, and here's the thing. Because I'm ready to make a fool of myself, if she says something like, hey, if her critics is like negative, I'm okay with that. I'm ready to hear it. I want to hear it. I don't want to hear oh, you're doing great, it's such an amazing thing. You never learn from that.
I mean, it's nice to get positive feedback.
It's nice to hear positive feedback here and there.
But you also want to learn.
Yeah. But I don't want to hear the people, no, that's fine. You did great. I'm the one who was not, I was not able to follow. Like, no. If you were not able to follow, that means on my side, something went wrong.
Yeah. Well, you asked me the question, and now I will ask you the question. So what was it that brought you to dance?
That's a silly. I have the silliest of answers.
I really don't think it's a silly answer at all.
But do you want the root of the answer?
I mean, if it's what I think it is, then yeah.
So is it the tennis thing that you're thinking of? Okay, but you don't know why I wanted to improve in tennis.
Okay, I guess.
So I went on the story goes like this. I went on a few days with this girl that I thought was amazing, and she was really pretty. She was awesome, and see how I might not still be over her because I still think that she's one of the most awesome people I've ever met.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. And things just didn't work out. She wanted something else in life. I wanted something else, so we called it a day. It wasn't a long thing, by the way, but really it was just we were in two different parts of our lives.
Yeah.
Which is just what life is all about.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie. Yeah, and but I was like, and this is, my mind sometimes had this thing where my answer to that, my personal inner voice was like, you know what? The reason why it didn't work is because I was not good enough. It's like, if you were that awesome dude, really great, she would say yes. But that's the voice, the irrational mind of yours, of mine that is talking. So one of the thing at that point, it was around nearing the end of the summer, and I was playing tennis with my friend, and it was around the same time, so I was not in a good mental state, and I was not happy with the tennis session that we had. And I went back. I was in the metro. And I was like, all of my thoughts kind of gathered at a point where I was like, my tennis session was really bad. The reason why you're not awesome is also because your tennis level is not as great as you want it to be. So because your tennis level is not as, because my tennis level was not as great as I wanted it to be, the girl didn't want to be with me. You see how weird my mind sometimes works. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to get better at tennis. I really need to get good at this thing. Like, let's go to, in my mind I was like, you need to be nearing the semi-pro level. Maybe not pro, but semi-pro. And, okay, what are the steps? Go to the gym, this and that. But I wanted to find a way to improve my footwork and upper body, body coordination. Because tennis, at the end of the day, is a sports of footwork. Like, it doesn't matter how beautiful your strikes are. If you cannot have a proper footwork, a proper placement relative to the ball, it doesn't matter what you're doing with your hands.
That's really interesting because I would have never thought about that.
Everything's in the footwork. What you see on TV is the arm movements, but everything's on the footwork.
What do you think is more important in dance?
Footwork.
Yeah?
Yeah. And so to go back to the story, it was that I wanted to improve, but I kind of felt lazy about going to the gym and doing those. You can do exercises for footwork and coordination on your own at the gym, but that would be boring.
What the fuck would you do there?
There are some exercises, but kind of they can get boring, especially if you're not on a tennis court. It's hard to see the bigger picture. So I was like, okay, let's go to dancing classes. The dance was my answer to that question. How can I improve my footwork and body coordination? Because I wanted to be an amazing tennis player. Because by being an amazing tennis player, I'll be an amazing person for that girl. See? There's always a woman behind every weird, great story. And I went to the class and I was really nervous. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew something. I was there to learn, and I'm ready to make a fool of myself. I'm ready to be the absolute moron who doesn't know what he's doing there. And actually, I was the moron who didn't know anything about. Because, for example, dancing was never a part of my life. Even the Macarena, I don't know how to dance it to this day.
You should probably learn that one.
I know. I don't know that. So, but a lot of people know how to do it, and that was the first thing the teacher showed us in the class to warm people up. There's the Macarena,
I didn't see that.
To warm people up, she was like, okay, let's warm up. Let's start with the Macarena move. Like, I don't know that.
Was that with Shadow?
Yeah. I don't know that move. Let's do the twerk. I don't know how to twerk either. So, I was certain that I would make a fool of myself, and maybe I did. But I can't explain it properly, but the first 4 lessons were kind of fun, but not so fun. Like, I was just in the learning process, and after 4 lessons, I was like starting to really have a lot of fun. It clicked. There was something going on there. And then the rest is history. All because...
Yeah, now you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll see how long the fun will last, but I hope it lasts for a long time.
So now have you put away the idea of being a semi-pro tennis player?
Yeah, maybe not.
I'm be a semi-pro dancer.
I have to be honest. I'll never have the level, the resources to be semi-pro. Even though people say never, but there's a limit to what reality. There's a limit to certain things, really, and I'll still think about it someday. I'll still probably do crazy stuff, maybe to convince myself that maybe I can get a shot at it. But realistically speaking, I don't think I'm never going to be anywhere near semi-pro level.
But you can get there with dance.
That actually is possible, and let's not talk too much about it. But the idea of doing competition started to cross my mind. It's for real, but I'm like...
You give it a year or two and you'll be there, man.
Yeah, but I was like, give yourself some time, don't put yourself too much pressure, and enjoy the process first.
Mm-hmm.
But I would lie if I said that the idea did not cross my mind. Maybe not pro, but like, because they have this, they have amateur competitions as well.
Yeah. All types.
Yeah.
It's really funny because for me, I feel like I've always been the complete opposite way in life. Like, the last thing that I've wanted, the last thing that I'm ever driven by is competing. Like, I used to fence I started when I was 13. I did it for like 3 years. I went once a week, every Tuesday. There were some periods of time that I took some time off. But it was, it got to the point one time and they started only mentioning to me, maybe it's time you do your first competition or start training for it at least. And that just turned me off. And then I stopped fencing. I didn't go back.
The pressure got into your head?
Just the idea, the thought of like this, because for me it was fun. Like, I don't know what it was. It's so weird because I'm a pacifist. I don't like fighting, but fencing, there's something different about it, and I think it is a beautiful sport. I never watch it. I'm nothing like that, but like the idea of fencing is amazing, and I would like to go back to it. Another footwork sport as well.
Yeah.
But it's just very elegant and it's very interesting. But as soon as that got mentioned to me, like just the tiniest bit,
you froze.
Like, I'm done. No, because I didn't want the fun to be taken away from it. It wasn't about competing for me. It was just about like going, part of my weekly routine, just having fun with the people at the club. And then
competition, I have to say, competing should not be yes, it should be a goal, but really you should first enjoy the process, the training process,
and
then later on you can talk about competing.
I think that is part of something with the podcast as well, because I think for a long time, like I tell everyone this was a work in progress in my mind for 7-8 years, and I started last year. And I think part of that was because I know that there is that competitive element. To get where I want to with the podcast, I am competing. I'm competing with fucking thousands and thousands, maybe millions of other podcasts, And I have to fight to make mine the one that people listen to, or one of the ones that people listen to. But I am really enjoying the process. I'm having a lot of fun. These past few months have been difficult, been very slow. I haven't had so much motivation, but now I feel like my energy is coming back.
Yeah, what drives you to do the podcast?
I love talking to people. I love hearing people's stories. I love hearing everyone's perspective on life. I think there's something about asking the questions that no one expects to be asked. I think there's nothing more that I love than surprising someone with a question that no one's ever asked them. And I feel the same way. If someone asks me a question that no one's ever asked me, I'm like, fair play to you. You're smart. You're smart. No one's asked me that question before. You've caught me off guard, and I love it. I really love that feeling.
Yeah, it's podcast and just be about those discussions.
100%.
Sharing, like dance, I guess. Communication, sharing things. But and so like you got stuck for 7-8 years because you were stuck in your mind.
I think the first part, because I had this idea when I was still in school, so I was like, I think that I have interesting conversations, and I would like to share these, but like I've always been a lone wolf. I've always been wanting to do my own thing, and I didn't really have a situation that I think I could have taken advantage of there. Um, and I knew for a long time that I still wanted to start this podcast, but I didn't have the
material.
Not the material. I just didn't have the
courage.
That was a part of it, but I just didn't have the exact idea, And it wasn't until the past couple of years that it's like an interview style format of just random people with random stories, and then it's like now, okay, travel, immigration, that's my life.
Yeah.
And it's one of my friends' life, so why not share that with the world?
Do you consider yourself a perfectionist?
No.
Because like some perfectionists, and I sometimes am like that, where you want to do something, but you're waiting for the perfect moment, perfect ID, perfect setup, perfect people, perfect weather sometimes, or perfect day, perfect energy. You're waiting for all the stars to align in order to do that thing, but perfection does not exist. The stars never really align, and so you never do the thing.
I think the way I would put it is I romanticize perfection, because I completely agree with you. Perfection doesn't exist. Well, it does in imperfection. Imperfection is perfection.
No, that's beautiful.
Imperfection is something, because you're never the idea of this perfect person, this perfect place, this perfect setup. Like even the things that we see in other like content creators online, you think, wow, these videos look perfect, but you know what? There's always something missing, and even them themselves, they're always wondering that themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're always thinking, how could I have done this thing a little bit differently? So I think the strive to perfection is beautiful. Like like you say, the process. Trust the process. Enjoy the process. That is what you have to enjoy. But yeah, I've really learned that there is no perfection.
Yeah, and also like if you go back to this notion of competition, some people also all they care about is the result. All they care about is number one, or not even number two sometimes. So they're so scared of that because their identity sometimes revolves around being the best, being the greatest, being the number one. But by competing, you're exposing yourself to the idea that maybe, and certainly at some point, you're not going to be number one.
Mm-hmm.
What happens there? Like if you do your podcast and you never end up being the number one podcaster on YouTube or Spotify, what happens? Or if you fence and you don't make it to the Olympic team, you're not good enough, what happens there? Like, and what happens to your identity? What happens to the view that you have for yourself? And that's the reason why a lot of people, and I've been guilty of that as well, don't compete. Or don't compete as much as I would love to. Because there's this idea that, if I lose, well, I'm not going to be as awesome as I want it to be. So that girl is not going to think I'm awesome. So guess what? She texts me and say, oh, no, I don't want to be with you. Okay, well, I guess we'll never compete then.
So, on that note, how would you describe your change in identity since you've been here in Canada?
Oof, that's a very deep question. Part of me want to say that I stayed the same, but I don't think I am the same. I think I want to believe that I'm still the same child, same child, and yes, I refer myself a lot to as a child. Part of me want to say that I have this childish dreams I have this childish smile, especially when I dance, and I'm about to make a move, and I think it's awesome, and I smile, and maybe the follower can tell that something's gonna happen because guess what? I made a smile. I smiled. Um, I want to say that, but also, you gain maturity over the year. Um, the biggest change was probably my view on elite, my view on, like when I was studying in high school, everything was about studying, and being a great person had nothing to do with, and that's because of the environment where I grew up in. Yeah, so where you were talking about like the identity thing that changed.
Yeah.
So I was saying that when I was in high school, everything or the identity or my identity revolved around the prestige of the school that you were in, the the prestige of the program as well. Like you can go to a great school, but like if you're studying, I don't know, like ceramics, there's no like value to that. Um, so it was very superficial. And well, I guess now because it was because I grew up with that mentality. It's still somewhere in my mind, and that's also the reason why I feel a little bit lost or late in life because of this contrast between the values that were engraved in me kind of by force and where I'm truly at right now. But over the years, especially here in Canada, it's not so much in my mind anymore where I don't necessarily care too much about the prestige. It's still somewhere, but I don't put too much emphasis on it. So I guess that would be the biggest shift in identity if I have to like give an answer to your question. What about you? Like, so you spent 6 years traveling, was it?
Yeah, so I left. Yeah, it's been. Wait, no, I always get confused now. So in September, I would have left 6 years ago. So it's I've been away for 5 years because I had 5 months, 4 or 5 months when I was in the UK.
So like, aside from the dancing, like the view that you had about dancing, what was the biggest change in your mindset or in your identity?
There have been lots. There have been a hell of a lot of changes, and I know I have a hell of a lot of changes more to come.
Like, if you had to name one or two.
Well, the one that I always jump to straight away is like giving up eating meat.
Okay, yeah.
Because that was the one that was like that I never thought would do, but it's funny because it was retrospectively one of the easiest processes. Yes and no, because it did take me a while. I'm still in the process. Um, not giving up meat, but the whole like animal consumption thing. I don't eat meat, and I don't ever intend to go back to eating meat or fish. Um, but that was something that I was very stubborn on. Like, why would people do that? And then now I'm like, why would people eat meat? Why wouldn't people live at least a vegetarian diet or not vegan? So another thing, I think I would probably have to say about friendship. I used to use the term friends very loosely.
Casually,
yeah.
Very like everyone's your friends, or you meet someone and they're your friends immediately. Now you start to use acquaintance and just the guy that I met, or
it's a very intimate thing for a friendship at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it can be very situational, and that's the thing. I had this very conversation with someone yesterday that I have people like acquaintances. I don't know. It's really hard. Sometimes it does get hard to distinguish because I think back and there were people that I spent a lot of time with at that point, and I know we can go, if we saw each other again, we could talk for hours and hours. Like, it doesn't matter that the times passed, that we've lived different lives, that we're doing different things. But our relationship was situational. We got to know each other. We spent as much time as we did because we were in the same place. That happened a lot with. I learned that with people at school first, and then traveling. Like, when you're traveling, you make so many deep connections, but you can't hold on to people. You can't.
Yeah.
We don't own people. We moved past that.
Yeah, but I feel it's like, even with dancing, you know, I got to meet a lot of people, and I got to spend a lot of time with some of them, mostly inside the classes and in the lounge where we practice. And it's so easy when that happens to say they're your friends,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have just, you've spent some quality time, but is that really friendship? I don't know.
It can be.
It can be. It can be.
And it's not a bad thing that it isn't always a friendship either, you know? Like, I think this is something really powerful that I think about, like, that you can't, your time is something that you can't take back.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
When you're talking about, like, giving your time to other people and other people giving their time to you, that is our most valuable resource at the end of the day. And you can't take that back. You can't take back spending time with someone. That happened, you know? Whether it happened in a positive way or in a negative way, that happened. And we can't, you know, just keep ourselves hung up on it. We can't give more time to the thought of giving time to people, you know? So I think it's not necessarily a bad thing that we're not friends with everyone, and we're not going to be friends with everyone, because you can still have fun with people without being friends.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to dancing, but like, you might have great connection while dancing, but that's it.
I still think it's unlikely.
I mean, let's just say that you meet a random stranger at a social you've never met before, and now you meet and you're gonna dance, and you have that one connection that feels very special during that song. Are you friends? No. Are you now forced to be friends?
No.
And are you now forced to be in a relationship because a lot of people think that when you're dancing you need to be no. But you know, that's the thing, like, sometimes you can have great moments with people and it's not necessarily meant to be like a really, really deep relationship, like whether it's a friendship or something a little more than a friendship.
You know the expression, people come into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Oh, it's beautiful, but I've never heard that.
Yeah. A reason could be, I mean, I think there's a bit of ambiguity between reason and season, because a reason could be something as simple as, like, someone gives you directions for where to go or something. But maybe a reason could be it could be a few months period, or I think that's probably more likely a season if you're going into years. But it's more like just a brief interaction, you know? Like, this person might be around for like a month or something, just to teach you something.
Yeah.
Someone could be in your life for a season because this period of your life,
you need them, or they need you, or they're like a common interest. Yeah. I mean,
exactly.
You know, again, like, not to go back to dancing all the time, but there are people that I've seen and then you don't see them anymore, but you had a good connection with them. And I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, past a certain level, because the dance classes go in terms of level, past a certain level, not a lot of people are committed, not a lot of people are passionate, not a lot of people are obsessed with dancing, so they stop. Because at some point it becomes technically challenging. And also financially challenging, because you have to pay for the classes. That's a reality as well. So those people, during that season, that session, they're there and they're gone.
Yeah.
And maybe if you're like me, a bit shy and you don't necessarily ask for people's contact immediately, even though I tend to force you to do that, then maybe you don't have their contact and they're gone for good.
Yeah, and I also don't think that's the worst thing in the world. No. I think in those situations it probably wasn't meant to be, but maybe that's just me looking optimistically. So.
And we all need a little optimistic view every once in a while.
It doesn't hurt. It really doesn't hurt. But we are headed to a social now. So before we finish up, before I ask you my last 3 questions.
Yeah, let's go.
Do you want to ask me anything else?
When you were traveling, that's a big question. But like, is there something that you regret not doing?
Not doing. There were probably a few kisses that I could have tried for along the way.
Like what?
Just no, Jack. I mean, kissing goes along the way.
Those kind of things. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to share the details.
No, I think it's more about like just there were opportunities that I didn't, where I should have had more confidence. And,
were you ever in a state where you felt like, I wish I never left home? Or
it's funny, that's never ever crossed my mind.
Never.
And I think you might be the first person to ask me that.
Like, I know, like, I miss home, but sometimes, like, do you feel like, because I felt this way, not that I never wished that I left home, but I was like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Oh, I've had that thought so many times, but that's more about asking about what am I doing here, not why am I not over there.
Okay, yeah.
That's the way I see it. But I've never ever questioned the decision to leave home. Like, I think if I made one correct decision in my life, it would be the fact that I left the UK.
Okay.
And I say that hand on heart. I got the fuck out before it was too late.
Okay, well, yeah. Good for you then. Happy to hear that.
Thank you. Okay, so the last 3 questions today for you. What message would you like to share in your language?
Do I have to say it in my language?
Yeah, you do. And then you can translate after. What does that mean?
It's not a big deal if the thing that you're doing doesn't work sometimes. And that's something that I want to convince myself, something that I'm telling myself all the time. But it's easier said than done.
Yes, damn right. But it's very contextually relevant.
Yeah.
Nice message.
Thank you.
What question would you like to ask the next guest?
It's kind of related to the question that I asked you. Is there something you regret thinking? Because we always regret doing something, but what about thoughts? Is there a thought that you regret having?
Okay. Is there a thought that you regret having? And finally, the question, we touched on this a little bit.
Yeah.
But now the other way around. So is there something that or what do you think you will change your mind on in the next 20, 30 years?
This can be very technical. Quantum computing.
Okay.
I've had I did my first internship ever in physics, and it was in quantum computing. Just to make this is not going to be a physics class, but like quantum computers, basically the saying is that they do calculation supposedly faster because they can think or calculate multiple states or multiple calculations at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very, very simplified view. So when I did my internship back then, it was all a hype. It's still kind of in a hype. The government, especially here in Quebec, they're putting a lot of money, too much if you ask me, um, into it because people believe that it's going to be the next big thing. But then the research is still going, people are still doing research, and now my view is like, that thing is actually useless.
Why?
Because there are a lot of technological limitation. We haven't, developed algorithms specific to quantum systems. Also, there's this idea that quantum computers are really good at simulating quantum systems, but the world that we're living in, the world that we're experiencing every day, is not a quantum system.
Yeah.
Specifically, technically it is, but it's not visible. That goes in. I don't want to go too much into the details there, but so my view went from maybe it's a good thing to that thing kind of feels useless.
Yeah.
And especially now, people are more talking about AI. Also, some gurus out there are talking about quantum AI, which is just fancy words to attract money and viewers. But 20, 30 years from now, maybe I'm completely wrong. And turns out that thing is actually completely useful, and that it's the next big thing, and that it's going to revolutionize everything that we know. Or 20, 30 years from now, we realize that government's research resources have been just spent for nothing at all.
Well, let's check back in 20.
Yeah, and we might not need 20, 30 years for that.
Yeah. We'll see. Well, thank you for today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
My pleasure. The pleasure was mine.
And yeah, I'm sure we're gonna watch this back in a few years when you're a professional dancer. And
knock on wood, I am professional at something.
We'll get there, man. We'll get there.
Professional procrastinator. That would be a good title.
We'll do a check in a few years.
When episode 2.
Episode 2. Yeah, I have one friend I did 3 episodes with, one friend I did 2 episodes with.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So you're having people doing updates of their lives?
A little.
You see their progress?
I'm a sucker for a good conversation, and if it's a really good conversation, I'll go back for more. So.
Yeah. It's awesome.
We'll do another episode when you have your passport one day, and we'll meet up somewhere else in the world.
Yeah. Oh, that would be awesome. When you're we meet in, I don't know, a social at Cali, for example, and we both learn Colombian salsa, and we're great at it. Or maybe we decided to do salsa on 2 in Japan, because apparently Japan they have a good community of salsa on 2 dancers there. I don't ask me why, but who knows? Who knows where the wind will take us?
We'll see. Well, thank you everyone for listening. This has been episode 27 of Background Story.